start my speech on the reverse count of 3, 2, 1, go. Panel, understand that the Hindus in Bangladesh are really vulnerable like now. There is no protection, there is no police to protect them, or there is a increase in like politically originated like violence there, and so all these Bangladeshi Hindus are like subject to being attacked, like vandalized and looting of their properties, with like their entire families being displaced. So understand that the situation of Hindus is like highly vulnerable. So then why is it becomes important for India to go on and give refuge to these Bangladeshi Hindus? And second, how will they do it? First, like basically on humanitarian rights, understand that there are people being killed and there are people being displaced, and like they are being looted and vandalized, their property has been killed. So it becomes a moral responsibility for India to then go ahead and save these people from all of these bad things that are happening to them. And understand that it also aligns with the India's tradition to like providing help to those in need, like they did to Sri Lankans, like they did to Tibetans. So it aligns with India's like tradition, and it becomes a moral responsibility. Understand that Bangladeshi people also have like a cultural and historic connection to that of India. Understand that there's like linguistic connections, religious and cultural ties with India that have been like going on. So then it also becomes beneficial to save these guys in the longer run. Understand that there is also like a geopolitical power that comes into play. Understand that by accepting and like integrating these people into your own countries, India can like showcase that it's there for people, that it has like ethical and morals, basically ethical and moral responsibilities that it takes on, and like it can represent how it supports like humanitarian obligation like on the global stage. So it can help India gain like a global soft power, and it can like enhance India's voice in global forums, because now that it has gone ahead and like save these set of people, right? And next we come to how will India then implement, what is the policy that comes into place while taking in these refugees. Number one is like refugee recognition. Understand that there are policies set by like UNHCR, which is United Nations High Commission for Refugees, to distinguish between refugees and illegal migrants. So first we'll distinguish between people, which enhances like transparency and that addresses like border security concerns among people. So first we'll identify these people like actually refugees before taking them in. Second, then comes like the opposition come and argue about like the economic factor and like the economic front of the country, like we are not so developed to actually equip all these people. So understand we can always do it through international fundings. Now these international fundings can come from like organizations like UN or world unions like European Union, which like support globally funds like refugees, and like countries like USA and Canada, which have like very strong fund on these humanitarian and refugees basis. They can like fund and help with expertise to manage refugee settlements, which like reduces pressure on India to maintain to fund all these and like maintain economic stability in India, and it reduces the financial burden on India. Third, we can like strengthen the infrastructure in these refugee receiving states, which like share borders with Bangladesh, like states like West Bengal, Assam, Tripura, which share borders with West Bengal. We can enhance its infrastructure, which means to say we can maintain dedicated refugees zones with like access to housing, healthcare. Now, how will we do that? Am I still audible? So we can do that by private-public partnership model. Now, how does it integrate to provide certain needs, which can look like trainings and jobs? And decide that companies like IKEA already have like certain motions in place to give work to displaced population like refugees. So we can like partner with NGOs and all these of companies to provide training and jobs. We can like private and public healthcare can collaborate to like provide healthcare to all of these people. Understand that there are also companies like Microsoft and Google, which have like supported for digital education. So education can also be taken care of by these public and partnership public private partnership model. So it prevents like resource competition and on like or a burden on the government, and like helps to take care, understand that the private sectors are also being helped because now they have a diverse population pool. And when we offer jobs through these model, understand that these refugees are also positively contributing now to the country's economy, which then helps India at large. So we can integrate these people seamlessly, since we have already seen that Bangladeshi people already share close ties. So it is very, this will be a very seamless integration, and they can also contribute to the country's economy. So with that, we can take care of the refugees and build our image as a software. With that, very proud to propose. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prachi, for that great speech. Midun, whenever you're ready.
Just give me like 10 seconds, and before that, audio is perfect and fine, I suppose.
Perfect.
Okay. Opposition starting my speech in 3, 2, 1, go. Panel, let us just summarize what the case was from the government at the first place. She really beautifully explains how the situation is Bangladesh is, how there are various groups that are vulnerable, how she can implement this using NGOs, etc. Refugees, a beautiful model. But the problem really lies is it doesn't really match with the motion, right? The real condition that we are actually looking into is why is the hell requirement for an increased quota for Hindus specifically? If you really talking about UNHCR law, etc. There's no UNHCR law that specifically tells about specific religion to be allowed more than another one. And she really comes up and tells Hindus are vulnerable, etc., etc. Panel, understand we're talking about a country's like situation of India, which is by default, on constitution secular and in internationally understood as a secular country. Why should we take more Hindus just because we are Hindu majority country, or bas we constitutionally a Muslim secular country? Now panel understand that whatever point where she pulls in that this aligns to Hindus value, Indian values and moral responsibility, etc., only points towards accepting refugees, not to just accept more than one. More of the any specific religious community in general, right? I'll come and tell you what exactly this motion we're supposed to do. First of all, let's understand that demographics. Like Bangladesh is a Muslim majority country. Even amongst the refugees, 70 to 80% are Muslims who come to India, right? Understanding when you allow a specific quota more right for a specific religion even amongst the refugees who are minorities will not just create an internal dispute among those regions in India itself, but also they will raise up two questions: one, why only Hindus, and secondly, why not equally? If you really wanted to increase, on ethically, if you want to really bring in more Hindus or whatever, then bring more Muslims as well, because 80% of them are actually Muslims or by majority. Even if in the worst case, if you have more Hindus coming in, I really have a point that really rebuttals at this one. Now, not only that this creates internal disputes, but also internationally, when you understand there are way more Muslim majority countries and they're looking at to India as a secular country and they really want to know what India really does to their minorities, especially when they belong to the same ethnic community. This really hampers the international stage reputation of India, right? First of all, for the Muslim counterpart, it looks very simple. Why you want to take more Hindus as a minority from a Muslim majority country to your country just because you're a Hindu majority country completely ruins your reputation. As even if you are taking refugees, would have been much better if you don't take refugees at worst case, right? Secondly, even if it was more Hindus coming at that place, can understand we are talking about people who take refugees, not really those who come up as tourists or really who wants to just get migrated. We're talking about refugees who are really fed up of their administration, who really are not comfortable to live over there. And if that really includes Muslims as well, they are those countries who are ready to accept India as their country, right? Why not just give it to them at first place? And if India is not able to do that, we are just ruining our reputation even more. It would have been much easier if we don't take. And most importantly, I would have expected a case telling that, yeah, if you take a specific religious community, there might be some depolarization, there might be case of terrorism, etc. But yeah, when you take more of specific let's say Hindu community more, it's more like giving an option for those communities to just say, okay, yeah, if you just put your identity as a Hindu, being a Muslim, it makes it easier for you to go to that country. whether or not if you are that does really make it unfair for those Muslim people in those countries, right? It's like more like a forced conversion for refugees, right? So if those Muslim people and be like, yeah, I can be a Hindu, I can get better chances going to India, right? Which really looks unfair and not really for a secular approach. You have to understand that there is a large majority of countries in this world that are Muslim majority countries. I mean, more than specifically not one determined here as more Hindu countries. There are more Muslim countries as well, Muslim majority countries, and even more secular countries at the first place. And India identifies as one of those secular countries. If India does that, being the largest democracy, that's not just going to ruin in front of those Middle East countries, also not just in Muslim countries, not in just all front of secular countries, but also in the front of United Nations, where India really signs back that, yeah, we are ready to take refugees, but no, we are only going to take Hindu refugees. So this looks like a showcase where you really want to just take a specific religious group because you want to put that into your country's demographies for political purposes, and it's clearly visible because if you're really doing it for something that aligns for goodness, it doesn't really have any partiality in that first place, right? Now, the three compulsory cases that I expected from opposition is that why there is a requirement as Muslim majority country, aren't they supposed to keep their people comfortable? But yeah, the rebuttal that point completely telling why this is a refugee community, this is a refugee situation. So there are people who are not comfortable either ways. Plus, also speaking, this India doesn't really identify as a Hindu protector country or a Hindu major. I mean, actual Hindu country identifies as a secular country. There are countries that are more higher percentage than India in terms of Hindu population. Nepal is a big example, and there are other Hindu majority countries as well, like Fiji and Mauritius. But why the hell should a largest secular country take Hindu refugees without look in front of and still look fair in front of international stage is still questionable and missing in the part of government. That's where really opposition takes up the case.
Thank you, Midun, for that speech. Prachi, gov reply.
Yeah.
Adi, you can stop the timer. Adi, are you here? Prachi, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, I'll just take 20 seconds if that's okay.
Yep.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, Prachi.
Uh, should I keep my own timer?
It would be good. Dhruv, can you share the timer?
Yeah, just give me 5 seconds, 10 seconds.
Is it visible?
Yeah, it's visible.
So, okay, I'll be starting my reply speech on a reverse count of 3, 2, 1, Go. Panda, first to answer why India is only taking Hindu refugees and not Muslim refugees at large, because I think the opposition answered it himself that Bangladesh is a majority Hindu population, and understand that the ones being persecuted and the ones being tortured are Hindus, not the Muslims. Because of these like political issues, the Hindus are being targeted and being killed and being prosecuted, and there's a lot of harm going for the Hindus. So it then becomes important to cater to these Hindu population rather than these like Muslim populations, which are like in majority and not subject to the same amount of like hatred or torture that the Hindus have to face over there. So first to answer that, that is the reason why we are taking in Hindus refugees at the first place. And understand when I talk about like social integration of these Bangladeshi Hindus into India, I also this inherently means that we are increasing quota for this for Bangladeshi Hindus to then go out and settle in India and like live peacefully. So I think I pretty much made my model very clear, and then I talk about how there is going to be a seamless integration of these Bangladeshi Hindus into India through my model. And then I also make clear why is it important for us to take Hindu refugees, because they are the one being prosecuted, and how is it going to improve India's image as like a soft power, since it stands against like stands against one that are being harmed, and it's a commitment against democratic values and like human rights, and with that, very proud to propose. Thank you.
Thank you, Prachi. Midun, whenever you're ready.
Starting reply speech in 3, 2, 1. Panel, understand this is the case why you really need to listen to the case much carefully without blind rebuttals. First of all, my case clearly explains they are those people who are uncomfortable in their country. So they can't be distinguished between Hindus or Muslims at the first place. Clearly giving just to Hindus undermines when it comes to minority from a country. That can also include Christians, Jains, anything, right? When you give it clearly only to Hindus, it looks like a political ideology or identity, and still removes your reputation as a secular country in international stage. Proposition can still argue the fact how this helps in international relations, in international stage, how this is going to still improve your reputation at the first place, right? When I really clearly tell, see, they are those people who still feel uncomfortable. You can't still separate, like just like Bangladesh did in their country, you can't still separate them in our country. Here, when you proclaim yourself as a secular country, so Bangladesh itself as a secular country can't do it. We as a secular country shouldn't be doing it by ethical forms when you completely catch up on aligning around values and moral responsibility. The main motto in this debate was supposed to tell why is there necessity for more Hindus, even though Muslims are also being marginalized there and they want to seek refugee, but still you want to give it to Hindus, which was a missing point. First, second, how do you do that with, even though there is no reputation loss in international state, which is also missing, which is completely covered up in my part. So hereby I complete my reply speech as well.
Thank you, Midun and Prachi, for that wonderful debate. You guys can leave the meet. Dhruv, can we have the next set of people?
Yeah, Kanishka's tries to me. They are coming.
Hello, am I being audible?
Yep, Prachi, you're audible.
Just give me 15 seconds. Yeah, I'd just like to have a confirmation if I'm perfectly audible and visible.
Yeah, you're audible and visible.
So yeah, hello everyone. I'm Karthik Kumar. Preferred gender pronoun is he/him. Speaking for the motion, and I'd like to start my case on the self count of 3, 2, 1. Well, let's first of all, let me give a very brief and rough sketch about how India as a country can lead this entire process of refugee taking. That is very simple. The border which both the countries share among each other. They can be checkposts can be set up among with armed supervision so that people may enter the cross-border travel may happen, and moreover, the camps near the post for those refugees to immediately get the medical facilities can also be availed. The main focus here will be on the personal profiling, such that in the crowd of Hindus coming inside the country, there should not be any other unnecessary or particularly dangerous people who may enter the country for its future. Now, getting that out of the way, let's start with the debate. The very first point is, why are we having this debate right now? The reason is why currently the condition of Hindus in Bangladesh after the military coup has deteriorated on an exponential level. Initially, starting with not allowing Durga Pujas to happen in Bangladesh or requiring payments from Hindu community for the Durga Puja, and now even beginning to vandalize ISKCON temples, ISKCON mosques being arrested on false charges. Then any people belonging to the Hindu community, whether it being lawyers, general people, doctors, etc., are being brutally beaten up and being harassed in a very wrong way. So coming to the point that why is there a need for a significant increase in the quota for the refugee? It is because no, this is not a one city, two city, or one state problem. Now this is actually going across the entire country level, where the entire mob is actually exploiting the Hindu community. This is not any one city or two city restricted to that. It's now being spread to the entire countries, and almost majority of the Hindu communities are being disturbed by this very scenario. Now, coming to the point of why India should be accepting this significant increase of Hindu victims, is because the very first is will be the humanitarian responsibility of India. Now, if we look from the past, India has always put a stance on international platform as a humanitarian country. Let it be the inclusion of Dalai Lama after the China's invasion, the 1971 Indo-Pak War, that too because of the Pakistan's exploitation on East Pakistan, now Bangladesh. Even in the recent Russia-Ukraine war, India being taking as a nuclear stance, as a humanitarian stance, instead of siding with any of the two polarized countries, or even the G20 motto that has been pursued as Kutumbakam. So India's international platform has always been as a humanitarian country throughout the history. Now, this will, of course, strengthen India's image as a humanitarian country, because being the victims of those Hindu communities are the conditions made for them as being hellish out there. And India has the necessary means among all the neighboring countries of Bangladesh, who can safely and securely account for those people to be integrated into the societies and be able to give a safe haven for them. The second point will be, of course, in the neighboring states where they will go about, for example, West Bengal, be it Assam or the North Indian state, they will actually add to the workforce paper as well. It's not like those people are not going to do anything for the living. Of course, for the initial period of some period, those people may need regular fostering, regular checkups and everything. But after a period of time, those people can itself being able to contribute to the very economy of the local economy of the states. For example, we take the scenario of West Bengal, which was getting very heavily benefited after the 1971 influx of war victims. So this will, in the neighboring states, lead to the economy of those local economy of those states to be highly benefited. The third point will be this step will be like the practical extension to the already legislation which has made the law, which is CAA. Now, CAA, as you know, Citizenship Amendment Act, which was raised in 2019, it was like for fast tracking citizenship for religious minorities across in the neighboring countries of India. Now, this was done in the reviewing order, as majority of these countries which neighbor India has a minority of the communities as Hindus, and they are more or less being marginalized or being exploited. For this, the CAA law was being implemented. And for this very scenario, it will be like an on-ground implementation of that very law. If the Indian government goes about and extends the refugee quota for Bangladeshi Hindus, so that the same citizenship which can be given to those people, they can be accommodated within the country, and then they will start to help country in the long term. Moreover, the very possibility that there might be unrest, or there might be clashes, or there might be friction among the people within the country, and those people coming from apart is highly unlikely, because both the cultures across the trans-border culture is almost very similar to each other, and there won't be much problem for those refugees to come here, or the people who are already living here to accept each other on a long term. With this, I would like to rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Karthik. Sujoni, whenever you're ready.
Okay, so am I clearly audible and visible?
Yeah.
Okay, so just let me set my time. So I am Srijoni. I'll be going as the opposition for this debate. My preferred gender pronouns are she, her, and I'll be starting my speech on the reverse count of 3, 2, 1. Understand, panel. First of all, I would go over the structure of my case and what am I going to bring to you. First of all, I'm going to bring out some characterization that is necessary for this debate, some basic characterization. I would bring to you the stakeholder analysis. I would bring to you what is the status quo and what does the world look like in the current scenario, and the alternatives that these people, these refugees from Bangladesh, have in the first place. Okay, so going over the characterization, as we understand, the border between India and Bangladesh is certain. It is very long, and it is a porous border where it has had a long history of human trafficking, of illegal migration, and of smuggling. Example, cattle smuggling. So there is always this border trouble that has been a big history for India and Bangladesh and their border. There are border security issues that are there, and there is a lot of militant trouble that India has had. India has had a long history with a lot of trouble that terrorism has caused to India. And as we understand, a lot of these terrorists and these terrorist organizations and the people who are participating in terrorism are people who live in countries around India. Example, Bangladesh, and that is an important characterization that is needed. Now, the stakeholder analysis. The stakeholder analysis for this particular debate is first the refugee, second the citizen of India, third the government and India as a country, as a nation at large. Okay, so now, what does the status quo look like? First of all, India has already a set scheme in which it is allowing people from Bangladesh who seek refuge. These people who are refugees, they are allowed into India, and on a humanitarian basis, these people are allowed inside in a case-by-case basis, where they are looked into and taken care of, seen as to these people should be allowed inside the country or not, and then they are allowed inside the country. There is the CAA, as was articulated by the Gov as well, that this is this particular scheme that is there in the Indian constitution, where the people from various countries, including Bangladesh, of various religions, including Hinduism, are being able to get a fast track citizenship of India. So over here, where the motion clearly states that the burden on the Gov is to prove that India has a reason, or there is a reason for India to go above and beyond and go ahead and have this quota that is needed, when they already have all these problems, all of these set methods to take care of all of the points that they are in this particular debate. Now, the alternatives that are there for the people of Bangladesh is that, first of all, they could go to the West, USA, Canada, Australia. They could go to the European Union, which has Germany, Sweden, Canada, and all of these places. They could go, and these places have formal refugee settlement programs. These places have Hindu diaspora communities which provide support. They can go to countries like Thailand and Malaysia, which has got humanitarian relief programs that they provide. They could go to Nepal. They could go to the Middle East, and a lot of a big fraction of the people from Bangladesh do go to these countries. And it is not that they are in a situation where if they do not go to India, they have nowhere else to be, and they are going to be in a very bad condition. Now, coming to the points of the case, why is it a very bad idea for India to go above and beyond and provide all of this? First of all, as we understand the border problem of India and Bangladesh, so this is going to be a highly likely case that there are going to be criminals and militants who are going to cross into India's borders, and because of this, it is going to be a bad scenario for the refugee, for the citizens of India for India, obviously. We talk about how there is going to be an increased case of human trafficking that takes place, which again is a big problem. We talk about how India is a third world country. India is a country that faces human internal strife, and India is a country where integration is very difficult. India is a kind of third world country. It has problem with resources, with providing resources to its citizens alone. There is the problem of unemployment in India. There is the problem of illiteracy in India, of overpopulation in India. India has a big history of internal strife, of a lot of violence, a lot of friction that has taken place between various communities of India. And let's accept it that citizens of India are in itself a handful. Taking care of the citizens of India in itself is something that is a big task. Over here, allowing more people to come inside India and having to take care of all of these people becomes a big task, and not something that is very justifiable in the first place. India, and they talk about integration. So I would take them out of the case over there. They talk about how the culture of Bangladesh and the culture of India, West Bengal, and all of that is very similar. So integration will be easy. First of all, there is this entire idea of Mohan Bagan and East Bengal. These are two different football clubs that are there in West Bengal, and that is there because they have very different roots. One is participated by people who originate from West Bengal, the other from East Bengal. So they don't even come together in something that they really love and bond over, such as football. And there is a major dissatisfaction and discrimination that takes place even inside West Bengal with these people. And integration is something that is a big problem. So definitely there are a huge number of issues that take place. It's going to be something that becomes a bad idea for the stakeholders in this case. It becomes a bad idea for India, and there is no justification to allow only one religion in the first place, where in status quo everything is taken care of. That is all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, Sujuni, for that speech. Kartikeya, reply whenever you're ready.
Yeah, am I being audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Yeah, so starting my reply speech in 3, 2, 1. I understand that the opposition entirely failed to understand that this is not about religion. This is about the communities which have been marginalized or which have been victimized in the long run in neighboring of the countries. For example, if you look at India's stance on Kashmir, even though Turkey has been despite of that, even though after the Turkey's earthquake, India was the one to send the humanitarian aid to Turkey, despite Turkey being a Muslim majority country. So this is not really about religion, but this is all about how the people who have been suffering just because of their religion in other countries, they should find a refuge in India who has such a strong sense of humanitarian concern. The second point which the opposition brought about so-called integration problem is that they took the example of football. Now I would like to understand that here the victims are actually struggling to survive, and the opposition actually expects to believe people to fight over football. Is that what the humans are really about? That somebody who is actually struggling to survive in any country, he goes to a country and he just doesn't want to integrate with them just because they follow different football or they follow different sports. Is that the example the opposition is going to go with? The third, the another point is the opposition put about, like, the Bangladeshi Hindus can go to West countries, they can go to the other countries which have a large Indian diaspora. Taking that example again of a history where the Afghanistanis, after the American army went out of there, they were actually trying to get onto the flights to get out of the country, but they were not able to because of Taliban's terrorism which was being forced. So it's not like the Bangladeshi Hindus has been left with much resources or have been left freely for them to be able to fly out to other countries, as most of them are either being beaten, either being hurt, dead, or are they being arrested. Thank you. With this, I would like to ask you.
Thank you, Karthik. Sujani, whenever you're ready.
Okay, am I audible and visible?
Perfectly.
Okay, just give me 10 seconds. All right, so I'll be going with my reply speech starting in 3, 2, 1. So understand, panel, first of all, taking GOV out of the case, they talk about how there is good relationship between Bangladesh and India, and it should be maintained. And because of that, India should allow, and India should go above and beyond and help these people who are particularly from one religion of Bengal and Bangladesh, and they think that it is only the Hindus in Bangladesh who are suffering. Understand that everybody in Bangladesh, and whether they are Hindus or Muslims, whether not only these two religions, they can be of various other religions that they have: Christianity, Jainism, Hinduism, Sikhism, Buddhism, and all of these minorities are also people who are suffering. So over there, going ahead and choosing only one particular religion is not something that stands for India as a secular country, and it is also not something that's a good image. It is not justified in the first place. Also, we have the idea of CAA, and we have the idea of case by case consideration. Because of that, these people are already being taken care of. So going above and beyond has no logic in the first place. Talking about humanitarian values, all right, so people are already being taken care of. There is no justification to go above and beyond in the first place, again, because India is not in a condition to take care of these people in the first place. Talking about their global image as a savior, the thing is that if India takes in all of these people and now definitely is not able to handle these people, because this is a huge influx of these people inside India, it is going to show India in a very pathetic image, and going to show that India cannot handle their own self in the first place. And all of the points that are brought out by the Gov, talking about how Bengalis, how Hindus should be held out, there is no point in it in the first place. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, Sujuni and Karthik, for that great debate. You guys can leave the meet.
Thank you.
Hi, Pranati and Amrita.
Hi.
Okay, guys, we'd prefer if you guys keep your video on during your speeches. With that, Pranati, whenever you're ready.
I'll start.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So, good evening, panel. India and Bangladesh share bonds of history, language, culture, and many other commonalities. The excellent bilateral ties reflect on all enclosing partnership which exists between both the countries, which is based on sovereignty, which is based on trust, which is based on equality and understanding that goes beyond and above any kind of strategic planning and partnership. But it is very unfortunate that Bangladesh has experienced significant political turmoil, including violent clashes and instability between the political parties, between the Awami League and the BNP, Bangladeshi Nationalist Party, which has become a source and the reason for the major conflict. According to the conversation.com, it is estimated that 266 people, mostly students, and 36 children have been murdered. First of all, children are the people and are not even supposed to be in the incident, right? I asked the panel today, is it right for us? Is it right for us being the fifth largest global economy, like the fifth largest global economy, the fifth largest, and even the global leaders, like, is it right? Should this even continue? Of course not. And not only this, there are issues in press which has taken place from the 13th of October to the 19th of October 2021, where Muslim mobs instigated communal violence against the Hindu communities in Bangladesh during the Diwali or the Durga Puja festival in response to a viral video which was circulated where the Quran was kept under the idol's feet in the temple. So more than 50 temple and makeshift worship places have been vandalized because of this all over Bangladesh. And after a week since Bangladesh's former Prime Minister Mrs. Sheikh Hasina's fled, there have been at least 200 attacks against the Hindus and other religious communities and minorities over the 52 districts of Bangladesh. And this is a record which has been supplied and told by the Hindu, Buddhist, Christian Unity council, a minority council in Bangladesh who tracks such incidents. So their houses have been raided, their houses have been destroyed and burned to the ground. At this point, I think it is completely violating the human rights. If we look down on such a traumatic issue, if we do not talk about it, I think it's at this point it's become a crime against humanity. Aren't we humans? When we cut, we bleed. When they cut, don't they bleed? Blood is blood. Blood has no relations. Blood has no religions. Blood has no language, no differences, and no boundaries. Blood is blood. Pain is pain. Suffering is suffering. All the same. There is so much that unites both Bangladesh and India as a country. We have a shared history, we have a shared legacy, a common heritage, linguistic and cultural ties, passion for music, passion for literature, and passion for art. Panel, we should keep in mind that Rabindranath Tagore is the same person who wrote the national anthem for both Bangladesh and India alike. India is a sovereign, democratic republic. We are known for being secular. Muslims, Hindus, Christians, Buddhists, Jains, Parsis, everybody, we have stayed under the same roof. We breathe the same air. We have the same soil. India shares cultural and religious ties with Bangladeshi Hindus and making it a national refugee for such fleeing persecution. India has previously welcomed a lot of refugees from Tibet, Sri Lanka, and so on, and any other every other regions, right? The increasing quota for Bangladeshi Hindus continues. If this continues the legacy of providing sanctuary for the people who are in need and are fleeing persecution. Panel, today it is them, and tomorrow it might be us. So I would like to conclude by saying that by increasing the refugee quota, India can set a wonderful example for other countries in the region and the world, and demonstrating secularism, demonstrating moral leadership and moral responsibility and a commitment to human rights. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Praniti. Amrita, whenever you're ready.
Yes, I'll take 5 minutes. 5 seconds, sorry.
Just 1 second. Okay, yeah, Praniti's back. You can start.
I'm Amrita, and I'll be speaking against the House that India should significantly increase the refugee quota for Bangladesh Hindus seeking refuge. And I will start in 3, 2, 1. So I would like to start by saying that India doesn't even have refugee laws, and still it accepts refugees from neighboring countries. So basically, we do not have any protection or security for the refugees. That is, they have no law or policies to protect them. The Supreme Court uses the Article 14 and 13, that is Universal Declaration of Human Rights and International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, respectively, for the protection of refugee, which leaves the refugee security a big question. India is also not a signatory to the 1951 Refugee Convention or the 1967 Protocol. So which means, and India has also consistently chosen not to enact national asylum framework, which means there are no policies that would ensure a fair system for these refugees. And so basically meaning no policies or no assurance of their security. It was also seen during the pandemic that when migrant workers were trying to migrate back to their hometowns, to reduce the risk of spreading viruses, the Supreme Court ensured that all basic amenities, payment of minimum wage, and flagship healthcare was provided. So it does show that India is capable of providing relief measures quickly, but despite all of this, the state of refugee remain a big question. And they are continuously excluded from mainstream with no benefits. So what difference does it actually make them seeking refuge in India? And the policies, the lack of clarity around their legal status and consequent lack of government documentation is a big problem. The National Registry of Citizens of India was first made after the census in 1951, and it was only updated after 2013. So even the Indian citizens are not registered properly. What ensures that these refugees will be registered, that will be registered and will be given proper citizenship? And this registration is at various stages across the country. So, and it is also seen that refugees work in unorganized sectors and usually hazardous conditions. They were deeply impacted during the pandemic and left jobless and to fend for themselves. It is also seen that there is an increase in domestic violence among the refugee women. And while there are helplines that remotely help these women, they typically are reluctant due to their ambiguous legal status, because there are again no policies that protect them. And they're also given no financial aid, fending for themselves, and they struggle to make ends meet. And they're also evicted from their homes by landlords, even though they are refugees seeking help in this nation. And they have, again, no government support, and they are not able to pay rent, and they get evicted. Even though the New Delhi state government did offer to cover these rents, they are still evicted out of their homes. And again, saying that there is no protection for these refugees in this country. And lastly, I would like to bring up the new citizenship bill, which was passed in July of 2016. It proposed the path to citizens for Hindus, Sikhs, Buddhists, Jains, Parsis, and Christians, and omitted Muslims. And these paths for refugees were created in Muslim-majority countries such as Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Bangladesh, which raises major concerns because in a nation that already sees so many religious turmoils, accepting only specific religious groups or excluding specific religious groups only increases the tension. What message does this, accepting every religion, excluding one, what does this convey to the citizens or even to the refugees themselves who are seeking help from this country? And so I would like to conclude my speech by saying that how can India increasing refugee quota when they don't even have refugee laws help these refugees? And apart from this, other major issues such as unemployment, housing, poverty, illiteracy among India, and border security problems such as terrorism and smuggling among India, how will it ensure the protection of the refugee themselves seeking help and coming to India? Thank you.
Thank you, Amrita, for the speech. Pranati, whenever you're ready, government reply.
I'm ready.
Yeah, sure. Start.
So first of all, panel, India is among the top 10 in terms of availability of raw materials in the world. And yes, it can be a bit of constraint when we have extra refugees. And is it a question that, is it that we cannot manage and overcome it? No. I think the issue here is not with them coming and the problems they face over here. I think it's the issue with the survival itself. I think if they're left over that, they will die. I think, isn't it better to stay here and struggle for survival than die over there without even having that strength to survive? This issue is no longer a want but has become a need. They need our help today. There are concerns about illegal infiltration and potential for security risk. But is it the risk that we cannot handle? No, it is a risk that we can definitely handle. If we increase the searching and security tightens and the infiltration goes the way it's supposed to be going, if we increase the terrorism counter forces and if we put a bit more effort, is it possible? Yes. It is risky. It is difficult. But is it worth the shot? Yes. Because today, it is not about unemployment, sir. It is not about any bill, but it is about survival. I think survival overcomes all, because we are humans and humans should stand for our rights. We should stand for our basic freedom, right? Refugees can definitely contribute to the economy by filling labor shortages, starting businesses, or even participating in various sectors. Their inclusion can lead to economic growth and development. We are the world's most populated country with almost 1,451 million people, and there are 13 million refugees, right? Yes, India believes in helping the people who are in need. We believe in truth. Satyameva Jayate. Thank you.
Thank you, Pranati. Amrita, please go ahead.
I will take 10 seconds, please. I will start my reply speech in 3, 2, 1. So the opposition speaks about survival. What about other religious groups who are also seeking survival and are not accepted in this country? They because and how can they even the opposition also mentioned about growing business and growing in this country, but how can they do so when they are discriminated against and they don't even have any laws protecting them or helping them start such ventures? They talked about vandalizing of Hindu culture, and how does excluding the other religion make it right? And also mentioning about how India is a secular country. Again, coming back to the citizenship bill, wanted like omitting a particular religious group doesn't really enforce the same. How can we say that we have a legacy of helping people from persecution if if the conditions here are not as better even? And I would like to conclude there.
Thank you so much, Amrita and Pranati.
Thank
You
you.
guys can leave the meet. Hi, Zaina and Nandini. Make sure you guys have your videos on throughout your speeches. With that, we can start. Zaina, whenever you're ready.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. So the motion before us is that India should significantly increase the refugee quota for Bangladeshi Hindus seeking refuge. Imagine a community persecuted for their religion, displaced from their homes, and left with nowhere to turn. This is the reality for countless Hindus in Bangladesh who face systematic violence, oppression, and discrimination. According to a report by Bangladesh Hindu Buddhist Christian Unity Council, more than 1,000 incidents of violence against Hindus have been recorded over the past several years. These include forced conversions and attack on Hindu homes. The population of Hindus in Bangladesh has significantly reduced from 22% to just 8.5%. As a nation built on values of secularism, compassion, and human rights, India has a moral and ethical responsibility to offer shelter to these vulnerable groups. Our history, rooted in humanitarian traditions, makes it clear that we have always opened our doors to those in need, regardless of their religion or background. The Citizenship Amendment Act, passed in 2019, acknowledges the need to protect religious minorities from neighboring countries, including Bangladesh. This law was created with the main purpose of offering a safe place to those who face religious persecution. Increasing the refugee intake aligns with this policy. Now, India is a regional leader and has a responsibility to set an example. By offering refuge to Bangladeshi Hindus, India can demonstrate its commitment to human rights and regional stability. Many may argue that this may burden our economic growth. However, history has shown that refugees, including those from the 1971 war of Bangladesh, have contributed to the Indian society and helped with the economic growth in valuable labors in sectors like agriculture and industry. India can set an example in the internationally and increase its global standings. Refugee children and young adults who will be allowed to attend schools and universities in India can become productive members of our society, contributing to our country's knowledge base. Additionally, the government can implement integrating policies. So we can provide education, healthcare, and employment opportunities to ensure that they contribute to societies without overtaxing our resources. So India can avoid overburdening already congested areas. So overpopulation is one of the major reasons why this is a drawback. But by integrating policies and the national population policy, which focuses on controlling the population growth, the refugee issue is manageable. Is a manageable aspect. By offering sanctuary to persecuted Hindus, India would only be assisting people who face hardships and have nowhere else to turn to. These are not individuals who will be a burden on our population, but they are in need of desperate safety and security. An alternative to providing refuge is human suffering. I would like to conclude by saying being neutral in situations of injustice means you have chosen the side of the oppressor. Increasing the refugee quota for Bangladeshi Hindus is not just a moral obligation, but it also is a strategic and practical decision. By offering refuge, India upholds its democratic values, strengthens regional ties, and provides much deepened protections to those in dire need. It's a decision that aligns with India's historical precedence of offering sanctuary and responsibility as a regional leader. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Zaina. Nandini, whenever you're ready.
Good evening. My name is Nandini, and today I will be speaking against the motion.
Nandini.
Yes.
Okay, cool. The timer is ready. You can start.
So I will be speaking against the motion that India should significantly increase the refugee quota for Bangladeshi Hindus seeking refuge. So, Bangladeshi Hindus seeking refuge in India is a huge matter which demands attention. India has traditionally been a safe space for refugees for decades now. Now, a lot of Hindus in Bangladesh have been facing some persecution and are looking to seek refuge in India. However, simply opening the borders to take them in might not be in the best interest for India. India does not have a refugee policy or law. This makes accepting refugees very unregulated. Taking in the refugees, especially only the Hindus, could mean souring the relations between the two neighboring countries. It could also give rise to negative feelings within the community itself where they are seeking refuge. Instead, this should be handled with a more diplomatic approach. India, as a large country, could leverage the trade rights, relations, etc., to put some pressure on the government of Bangladesh. They should be in charge of the citizens of their country and ensure their well being. They should also take care to make sure that the minorities of their country are not endangered. If we take in the refugees, the situation for the Hindus in Bangladesh will not improve. They will continue to face problems and be in constant danger. This is a matter that should be resolved within their own country, or our government could join hands and find an appropriate solution. India has the highest population in the world at 1.4 billion people. This population surplus does not favor people seeking refuge. A huge chunk of our old population is under the poverty line. They receive free food, electricity, cooking gas, etc. from the government on a regular basis. This puts a strain on the already limited resources that are available in the country. A lot of sectors of the country, like healthcare and welfare, are already overburdened. So, in this scenario, how will India accommodate to fully attend to the needs of these refugees? Making a rash decision and taking them in would pose problems for India in the future. And even if the people we are talking about are Hindus, they have been a part of a different country for decades now. This might make it hard for them to integrate well with the people that they are trying to settle. It has also happened in the past that the refugees that we have taken in have left the district camps. They have left the district camps and they have entered into and mixed with the general population when they were deemed not fit for it. In this scenario, this poses a great threat as they would make use of illegal methods to attain citizenship. Some political leaders also would take advantage of them to rise to power, and in exchange, they would promise them benefits and they would tell them that they will provide them with sanitation, water, electricity, and other essential things. Now, refugees are some of the most vulnerable sections of the society. They are prone to more exploitation by various people. So, the, the refugees can easily be threatened or exploited. So, they need proper fooding, they need proper shelter, counseling, and training so that they can get jobs. And they will need also proper healthcare and education. All these things which they have been deprived of, the host country would have to provide them. And at the moment, India cannot guarantee that they would be able to provide the refugees with all this. Refugees also, when refugees enter a country, they also increase competition in the job market. The youth of our country is already facing issues with employment. Now these refugees take up jobs. They take up jobs for way less than the market value. And this in turn puts a strain on the job market and increases competition. The topic of refugees is a serious one and should be handled accordingly. The UN must create camps for the refugees till the situation in their own countries settle. No country should be allowed to treat its citizens unfairly, which results in them fleeing their own countries and inevitably putting the burden of them on different countries, which already has limited resources and is not equipped to handle refugees. India should focus on the welfare of its own citizens. We should first become capable of carrying our own weight before we try to take up responsibilities of others. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nandini. Zaina, your reply speech whenever you're ready.
Okay, so the point mentioned of overpopulation, while overpopulation is an
1 second. Nanika, can you stop the timer? Please reset. Okay. Zena, you can start once again.
while overpopulation is an important issue, it should not be an excuse to deny refuge to persecuted people. Our moral responsibility as a nation to protect human rights is far more important than focusing on fears of overpopulation. We can spend a little more effort and time on proper planning and integration of refugees into our society, and giving them proper placements in less crowded areas, etc. and etc. So, one second. And other point mentioned was how they get mixed up with the crowd. I don't see that as a bad thing. I see that as it's cultural enrichment. They bring their culture into our country, and there is a lot of exchange of there's a lot of exchange of different ideas, different ideologies, etc. If we do not if if we do not provide refuge to these people, the other alternative for them is just to face violence and discrimination. Also, the point mentioned on diplomatic tensions with Bangladesh, we can engage diplomatically with Bangladesh and assure the government that our move of taking the refuge is in line with humanitarian and regional stability efforts. This step can strengthen India's role as a protector of human rights, which I think no country would want to oppose. Thank you.
Thank you, Zaina. Nandini, whenever you're ready.
Yes, I'll start. So, as you said, that overpopulation is not an excuse to deny refuge, but it is not an excuse. India is has the highest population in the world, and the people of our own country are currently not able to get employment. They are already very poor, and they are not able to get access to a lot of things. They have limited resources. So, overpopulation is definitely not an excuse. It is a valid reason. Then comes the moral responsibility. For the moral responsibility, if we are not able to help the citizens of our own country, how are we going to be responsible for the citizens of a different country? We should put more time and effort sorry. So yes, and then you said the point about how the people are mixing up with people, but the thing is, they are mixing up with the people and they are acquiring the citizenships illegally. So this also creates a lot of problems, and they should, if they are, there is no problem with integration, but they should do it legally, and they should do it legally and not find methods that are illegal. And the alternative to them is say alternative to these people, to the refugees, is that they face violence in their own countries. But if we are not equipped with handling and taking responsibility for them, how are we going to take? How are we going to handle this? How are we going to handle the situation if we are not equipped to doing so? Thank you. And about being the protector of human rights, we should first take care of our. Okay.
Thank you so much for that great debate, guys. You can leave the meet. We'll let you guys know the results in the group.
Thank you.